Joby. I love it. Hey, Mummy, I need a jobby. Oh, Mummy, I've done a jobby in my pants. There's a lot of stuff that's great about English. I mean, there's other stuff which is not so great. He's a fascist. And there's no room for fascists in these islands. I worry for Scotland. You know, I would do, really. This is Brian Cox. The subject for today is how to be Scottish.
Brian, thank you for being with us here at Joe. Today you're going to be our Scottish guide, and over the next 3 rounds, do tasks and questions which give us and our audience a better understanding of your great nation. But firstly, it's quite a big question, what does being Scottish mean to you?
There's a sort of clarity of purpose about the Scots. You know, they don't hang about, they get to the point. We can be stubborn as hell, maybe sometimes not listen and not do what we should do. But also, our lives have been sort of decided by other people, not by us. So we've had to go along with things which necessarily we would have not chosen. And that's one of the things that is one of the burdens of being Scots, especially in these islands. You have to sort of toe a particular line which you don't necessarily want to toe at all. And that's also a very Scottish thing about not towing the line. As a Scottish person, what is the biggest difference you have noticed about Americans spending so much time there? Well, Americans they're a very young country, and they're a very simple people. In many ways they're free, but in many ways they're bound in a different way. You know, they haven't got the same boundaries that Scots have, but they have their own boundaries, which is kind of stupidity. They can be exceedingly stupid. And then they could be the opposite. It's very hard to tell with Americans because they can be massively contradictory in their behavior. I also like them because basically they're people who have been freed. They don't always know what to do with their freedom. You have to remember, it's a young country. They're about to celebrate its 250th anniversaries. And that's also a good quality about America. There's an innocence about them too, which is actually very reassuring and touching. What
do you feel the first time that you visited America to work or otherwise? What did you feel was the biggest culture shock for you, or the biggest difference that you noticed?
Well, the biggest shock for me was the buildings. You know, I remember when I first went to New York and I came in through the tunnel, these buildings, and I just thought, this is incredible, what they created. New York particularly. I mean, New York is an amazing city anyway. It's getting a bit gentrified now, so there's that problem. That's why I live in Brooklyn, which isn't gentrified at all, and is a real community. And nobody would ever go to Brooklyn. Years and years ago, everyone went, oh, Brooklyn, no. But actually, Brooklyn is the place to go now, you know, in New York. That one is Scotland actually like train spotting? No, Scotland is not like train spotting. Train spotting is brilliant. Don't get me wrong, Irving Welsh has written a brilliant book and it's a brilliant film, but it is not Scotland. It is a part of Scotland, and it's also to do with that Scotland does suffer from, which is deprivation. When people are deprived, you'll go to something that makes you undeprived, that will stimulate you. And the sadness now that we have, the drug situation, is really to do with poverty. It's linked with poverty, and also the way they've done city planning. In the 50s, when I was a wee boy at school, you know, we were all pals, we all lived together, and we lived in the town, the city. And then they built the housing schemes where they put people out. They thought it was all going to be lovely. But there was no facilities apart from shops. But there was nothing you could do. There was no cinemas or any of that stuff. So people become deprived, and they don't work. They're poor, and then they come to becoming heroin addicts. And heroin addiction in Scotland is pretty powerful.
The reason we decided to include that question was because recently in an interview, James McAvoy mentioned, well, he criticised the industry for pigeonholing Scottish films into narratives focused on social issues such as unemployment and abuse. We just wanted to sort of get your take on that, and if you feel that is something that you've noticed.
Well, I think there's got to be a balance. In everything, there should be a balance of opinion. And of course, there's terrible issues that have happened to Scotland. You know, we've not necessarily been in control of those issues. There was a lot of social engineering that went on in the 50s, and I have to tell this story, which is absolutely true, that when they knocked down the Gorbals and they redistributed people, there were people who lived happily opposite one another for 30, 40 years. They made sure that those people would be in different towns, that they would no longer live together. So that's very upsetting to community and a sense of community. And I'm afraid a lot of the city fathers over the years have made these terrible mistakes, and people do suffer as a result. People feel left out. They feel marginalised in some way. What is the biggest misconception about Scottish people? I think the biggest misconception is that we're hard-nosed. We're not quite as hard-nosed as people think we are. We're much more uncertain because of our historical position where we are. And I don't want to go on about it, but when you think that we invented the telephone, we invented television, we invented anesthesia. So what we've contributed is rather incredible, but we tend to forget about that. We are driven to a sort of poor me status, which is not who we are. So that's one of the big misconceptions, I think, or if the misconception.
In this round, on the cue cards in front of you, we have some Scottish slang phrases that have been suggested to us by our lovely friend Amy from Turriff, and we would like to explain to us what they mean.
Well, the first one is hud your wisht, which is really basically be quiet. Just don't say anything. Just hud your wisht. Don't express. It's a strange one, that one, because it is about telling people to be quiet. And sometimes it's not a good idea to tell people to be quiet. Sometimes Scots get overwhelmed and they say, "Hod your wisht. I've had enough. That's enough. No more. Don't talk anymore in that direction." And that's really what it means.
When she sent us that one, I was trying to work out where's the sort of origin, how has that come to that, you know?
I don't know. I mean, I just know it. Hod your wisht. Your wisht is something where you speak. I mean, it could be your wish. It could be hod your wish. It could be that. But I think it's become to mean your talk, your opinions. Yeah. You know, that's really what wisht has become to mean. Bra. Oh, bra is bra. I mean, it's so simple, and it's a great word. I love the word bra because there's no other language that has bra. And bra means better than good, much better than good. It means it's bra. It's a bra brech minlich nacht de nacht and I'm a recht again, you know, which is, that's the great quote for the bra. Bow your head. Bow your head. He's literally telling somebody to boil their head. It's a kind of rudeness. Bow your head, which means shut the jolly up, you know. That's what I mean. I can't swear because I would say another word rather than jolly, but think of the word I might be using instead of jolly. So that would mean, shut the jolly up, shut your jolly up. Jobby. I love it. I love that, jobby. Hey, mummy, I need a jobby. Mummy, I'm going to go to the lavvy because I need a jobby. I'm desperate for a jobby, mummy. It's the child thing. We do keep those child expressions with us, which is in many ways very touching. You know, a kid talking about their jobby, you know. Oh, mummy, I've done a jobby in my pants. Oh, mummy, I'm smelling a wee bit. I'm okay. You know, I mean, jobby. I love jobby.
In this final round, we've just got two scenarios for you. It's a multiple choice answer and just how you feel a Scottish person would respond in these scenarios. So the first one is Scotland have been kicked out of the World Cup, but England have remained. Would you A, support England as they're a home nation, B, support anyone who plays England, or C, stop watching the tournament?
Well, I wouldn't stop watching the tournament. I mean, I still remember 1966. I still remember how exciting it was for everybody that England was winning the World Cup, you know, and you acknowledge that. You know, it'd be stupid to say, oh, well, I mean, there are a lot of people who would do what you're saying. I don't do that. I've never been, that down on something, you know. I think, there's a lot of stuff that's great about English. I mean, there's other stuff which is not so great, you know. Their ruling capacity is not particularly good, you know, and sometimes we get these people like somebody like, you see, my producer, he doesn't let me mention people, but Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage, for example. You don't want somebody like that. Absolutely don't. And I don't care what my producer says because that's what I'm feeling. That man he's a fascist. And there's no room for fascists in these islands, you know, because we fought against that. That's what the whole Second World War was about. And these pseudo-Hitlers that have coming along now at the moment, and actually they're making, the idea that they're possibly they possibly could be around the country. You just think, well, that means I'm going to have to really move, you know. I worry for Scotland, you know, I would do, really.
You're in an airport, but your flight has been delayed. Do you A, go and peruse duty-free, B, sit patiently at the gate, or C, get a pint?
Well, I wouldn't get a pint because I don't drink pints. And I've never drunk pints. It's not something that I do. I wouldn't sit at the gate. I'd probably sit in the lounge and I'd read something. Because I can travel well nowadays, I would have a very nice meal waiting for my plane to take off.
That's absolutely excellent. Thank you so much. That was brilliant.
You're welcome.